Good day and welcome to another episode of the RotoFest Detail Bookie Podcast. And
extraordinaire, whatever you want to call it.
I cannot believe it. It is freaking April.
It's the end of April.
It's the end of April. And I'm like, where the hell is the time going in 2026? And we were just talking about all the changes in the last 18 months. And man, it's just been crazy. And we are super excited because we have one of the men in the industry that we have mad respect for, Russ Urmston. He is the owner of Invisible Patterns, founder.
The brains, the guru behind.
He's like all things PPF.
And more.
And more. The
really
cool part about that I think about when I think about Invisible Patterns is there's a lot of stuff out there on in the PPF and the paint protection industry, but you've really dived into a real niche of something that I can't understand why everybody doesn't have it. If you have a motorcycle, why wouldn't you do this? You know,
that was one of the reasons what got me into PPF in the first place. In 2000, I was heavily involved with window tint, and we were doing massive amounts of window tint in the UK. And then the government changed the laws where anything on the front had to be replaced. And I needed something else. I needed to find something else. And the guy who I went and trained with, he was playing with PPF. So I reached out to him and said, Luke, is that plastic stuff what you were playing with when I was down training, what's it all about? And he went, it's very expensive to buy and it's going to be expensive to put on the vehicle, but I can give you the guy's name. So I reached out to them, and they were looking for somebody in the northwest of England to have like an outlet to. And they were based in the Midlands, and it was Venture Shield, which was a part of a company called Venture Tape. And went down for the training, and they said, you buy 3 rolls of film, you come down for 1 day's training, you get the software, bring a laptop, and then you're good to go. And I was like, right, okay. So I went down a bit naive, a bit unsure about which way this was going to go. We went to the training centre, and they had a Porsche bumper, black, and they came out with a pre-cut piece of film for the bumper, and the guy installed it. And I went, oh, that looks easy. And then he took it off.
That looks easy.
And he took it off, and he said, right, you have a go. And I went, what, with the same piece? And he went, yeah, with the same piece. So I had a go, and it wasn't easy. So we were playing up with these over the day, and then we went onto the bonnet. He said, bring your vehicle in, we'll put some on your vehicle. So we did the hood on the van I had at the time. So we did that. But then we went into the other classroom, and that's when they were putting the software onto my laptop. And it was a CD. And we had a dongle. So we had a CD with all the patterns on it, and then a dongle, which then allowed you to cut. So when you received the material, you had a tracking code, which allowed you to put in, and then you could cut. So if you had no material, you couldn't use the software. And then I noticed there was cars and there was bikes. And I said to them, I said, what are the bikes? And they went, it's not something which we're really interested in, but it's a DIY thing. And I went, right, okay. So where do I sign? So I signed the document to say that I was going to come on board. Went home and then set up an e-commerce website selling DIY motorcycle pants.
Yeah.
Went to every bike show, promoted it, every bike magazine. At one point, I had £12 in my bank account. That's how it was to the point where everything was to a point I was like, right, I've got £12. I've got to go to a bike magazine office where Michael Nees, who's a bike journalist, had one of his bikes in, and we were going to put it on his bike, and he was going to do a test on it. And thankfully, it worked. It was one of those where it's like, I've got to keep doing this because I know there's something involved in it.
Yeah.
But the patterns were only about 1 meter long. That was the biggest, and that was like tank, headlight, strips on the side fairings. That was it. There was nothing else.
Yeah.
And then 3M purchased Venture Shield, and he's now a good friend of mine who worked for Venture Shield, and then he moved over to 3M, and he phoned me up and said, "Luke, we're not continuing doing bike designs. They feel there's no market for it. I'll come up, I'll train you and Craig, the guy who used to work with me, show you what you need to do, and then away you go." And that was in 2008.
Wow.
And we've been designing bikes. So now we've gone from a meter. So our latest creation, which is the Ducati V4 Panigale Lamborghini, is 7 meters of material.
Wow.
Every piece of bike has got some form of paint protection film on it. Lamborghini have thrown the carbon fiber catalogue at this bike. So whatever, we've got a Panigale in at the moment, which is there in the background, but the Lamborghini one is not carbon fiber. It's full. And we've got one coming in next week from a customer who's actually going to ride it on the road. And that's £73,000 in the UK. So that's gone from like a meter of material to even more. Yes, you do need Harleys, and that's something which we're working on as well. We do have a few Harleys, but Harleys aren't popular in the UK. Unfortunately, it's not something which we can develop as quickly as we'd like to. But I have got plans.
Do you have one of the questions that I thought of is every bike I've ever ridden, right where your legs rub on the tank, at the bare minimum, you need that. And it's kind of like the cups on the door handles of a car. Do you have a pattern just for that part if somebody wants to do the very minimum? Because I would think that is just...
So what we've got on our website is we've got tank kits. So it's a tank pad and then tank sides.
Yeah.
So that's like an introduction. That's like a no-brainer straight away. If people don't want to go for the full kit and pay for the full kit, they can start with the tank kit, get an understanding, because everything's DIY. We hopefully design things so the individual can install it. Yes, we understand it's not going to be professional, but you've got protection. And if you work in it, and the beauty, and you guys know because you've been with me a few times when we've been playing with the material, and we take it off and we can do it again. It's not like window tint where you decrease it, that's it. You've got to, you can take it off and put it back on. And I always say to customers, listen, remove it for coffee or beer or go on cat or shout at the wife, then go back in a bit more relaxed and have another go. So it's not like the old Earthfix models where you used to try and get them right and then you've got to pull it off and snap it. It's a bit more forgiving.
Well, and it is. I mean, I think a lot of people think the PPF is something like, the protector for your watch or your phone. It's not. There's more to it. And we've been at, like you said, a couple of different trainings with you doing this stuff. And it is something that's a skill that you have to learn. But the really nice part about the patterns is that freeform cutting something like a 911 Porsche GT3 bumper is insane. The little curves and all of those things, I wouldn't even attempt that. But a pattern seems to lessen that anxiety because it's like, oh, it's already pre-cut. No, it's gonna fit in there like a puzzle piece, and then I just have to make sure that it's clean and that I use the right slip and that I've got it all tucked away. But I think that for the bikes, all bikes get chipped. They're lower to the ground. They go around corners and pick up rocks. Anybody that's ever ridden a bike, they're magnets for rocks and things in the road, but they're fantastic, but they need protection. Always bugs and just, oh man, I just can't even imagine. But so how many, this is just something that popped in my head. How many different patterns do you have?
Last count, I've probably around about 1,500, and that's going back from probably 1998 up to present. So if not most, but I think that on the most popular from 2018, I've got 508, and that's different variations. Because don't forget, one bike is the same.
Oh yeah,
but they have different color schemes. So you'll have so on some of them color schemes as well, they'll have matte PPF. So what we've done is we've designed a kit. So everything what's gloss is segmented, and everything what is matte is segmented. So when you order a kit, you have a map as well, which says this is tank pad, this is tank side left, tank side right, headlight left, side fairing left and right. Usual. It gives you an indication. So what you get on the map is what is on the sheet. So then you're not trying to double guess what you're trying to put on. So we've got them variations as well. So the latest BMW adventure bike, which is the R1300, they've got 3 color schemes at the moment. They've got the triple black, they've got the trophy, and they've got the Action 719. Each one has a different paint scheme. So the triple black is virtually all gloss, apart from the framework. So we have matte for the framework, and then everything else for the painted surfaces is gloss. But then the 719 and the trophy have matte tank sides. So we have matte PPF for the tank sides. So everything is all color coordinated and PPF to PPF coordinated as well. So we do all that. So all you have to do is, and we even provide the bottle, the squeegee, everything you need within the kit, and it's posted direct.
I didn't realize that Invisible Patterns was designed for the DIY market. So I have a question about that. How, because I mean, Rod and I, we're always willing to jump in. So as you get these DIY guys, what's their experience like? Are they struggling, or is it so mapped out that it's just easy?
I get very few complaints from it, because if they do phone up, and we do have a good customer service, so we do try and answer and reply, because at the end of the day, I don't want the product being bad mouthed or the kits are rubbish. And the instructions are English, so it's trying to, at the moment in time, I'm doing some videos so I can install, so people then can log in. I've got quite a few of customers who have done YouTube videos of where they're doing the install in the garage, because they have their own little podcast themselves, so they'll do those installs. There are a couple of bikes which I would say are professional install, if you're going into entire bike, and if you're ordering an entire coverage, then it says this is advised to be a professional install. But the everyday run-of-the-mill kits, I send them all over the world, Jody, and Australia, America, and I get feedback saying fantastic, fits like a glove, really good instructions, love the product.
That's awesome.
And I think one of the telling signs for me was we were at a training, and you were doing some stuff in Colorado and we were at the Rupes Training Center, and this donated bike came in, and you didn't have a pattern because we were there and you were doing it just free form, but it was this beautiful Harley, and we pulled the seat off, and this thing's, I mean, tens of thousands of dollars, not just in purchasing the bike, but in the aftermarket and the paint job. You pull the seat off, and there's a rub mark down to bare metal under the seat, because the seat rubs. And so you look at that, and I'm like, that is so that should be a picture on a website of saying, this is why you need it. This bike looks perfect.
Yeah.
You pull the seat off, and there's a rub mark. Wherever your knees hit, there's always going to be a rub mark. If you've got a key on a Harley, it's in the middle of the tank, and if you got a key fob, it's flopping around. And so there's always a need for that stuff. And I think that headlights, oh my gosh, headlights are, that is an easy starting point to get your feet wet, if you will, is a headlights or something that can do it. And I think that, I'd be curious to see how many people have started out with a pattern from you and turned it into a business, because you would think that somebody that does a lot of these would be like, man, I'm just going to keep buying these patterns and doing this on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Isabel and Andy, they're up in Studio 16 in Scotland. Going back to a conversation, when we always have these conversations in bars, we were at one of Richard and Carolyn's detailing summits in Hull, and it was the second one. We met Andy the first time, and then the second one he brought Isabel over, and we were in a pub and just having some beers and a drink, and Isabel was sat there, and Andy said, "Go on, ask him." And I went, "What do you want to ask me?" She said, "I'm really interested in PPF." And Andy said, "I think she's very to the point. She's a beauty therapist. She does all the eyelashes, so she's got that attention to detail." And I just said to her, I said, "Listen, anytime, reach out. Let's have a talk, and let's see where we go." And then 12 months later, I go up to Scotland. I spend a day with them, explaining, put things through, and then they come down to me a few weeks later, and we did a bit more advanced. And now she's rocking it up in Scotland. She's even contemplating of packing in the beauty side of it and concentrating a bit more on that side of it. Yeah. And then she gets newcomer of the year with the IDA.
I know.
Well, and it was those guys are great. They have a super excellent attitude. I mean, I love their drive and their act. Their shop is beautiful, like yours is too. I mean, I so far I think that basically in the UK and Scotland, the standard is you have to have a really nice shop. Because
you can't have just
you guys
want to have sunshine as well. It's sunshine in here at the moment, and it's St. George's Day as well.
This is the point where people visit and the weather lies to them, and they're like, "I need to move here."
I thought that was a fake.
Then they move, and it gets all rainy and cold, and they're like, "Somebody lied." So,
but we get so many people coming in on training. It's like next week, I've got two guys coming up who are in the PPF industry, and they want to pull away slightly because it's a race to the bottom in some areas, and they want to now concentrate. And these are a member of the IDA as well, and so they've reached out. So they're coming up next Tuesday, and I'm going to do a day's PPF training on the lovely Panigale, what I've got at the back. So most car dealerships and bike dealerships are completely different. Car dealerships, you're like an alien, and it's like, "What do you want?" And you go into a bike dealership, and I say, "Can I take this 40 grand motorcycle out of your workshop and put it in my van and take it away?" And they go, "Yeah, of course you can." It's like, "Really?" And they go, "Yeah, but anytime." And I go, "Okay, then I'll be in next week for another one."
Yeah. Well, and I think that is, it's industry, right? Car guys and motorcycle guys are totally different, right? And we were at a car event, and there's car clubs, and you can talk to those guys and all that stuff. And then there's bike clubs, and in the US, bike clubs are a little different, right? You've got the separation between the kind of the European, the Japanese bikes, and then there's the Harley guys.
Yes, you do.
And it's funny because we were at this event and again, we were at a bar. We were at this area down in Kentucky where there's a number of restaurants and bars and all this stuff. And this really rough bike gang comes in, man. They're no shirts with the leather vest only, and they're just strung out looking. And who was, I think Richard and Carolyn were there.
I think they were
there. And there were some people from Canada there, and everybody was commenting on how rough these guys looked. And they had this thing on the back that had the name of their club. And hey, Andy. And so one of the guys that was there with us goes, "Man, I wouldn't talk to those guys." And I went, "I would." So I just walked up and put my arm behind him, and I said, "Hey, how many years has the club been in existence?" Right. And so pretty soon they see us in the bar having a drink, talking, because I'd been involved in a club that's been around since the 60s. And they're like, "You just walked up to that guy and talked to him." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's just a person, and you're taking the stereotype of the criminal biker thing, and you're extending it off, and it's not like that. Anytime you talk to a bike guy about bikes, you're like best friends. It's just that's how it works."
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
And I think that because of that, the bike industry is so, it blows my mind, because what you're doing now, you could take that, and in the US, these new side-by-sides and these four-wheelers,
side-by-sides,
all that stuff, that would just, explode, because
especially all the off-road stuff.
And now people are going into boats, and I think that PPF is it's advanced so much, right?
Yeah.
Well, several years ago, you had the products that, like, once they were on, they'd start cracking and turning brown, and it's like you can't even get it off unless you have 14 gallons of Goo Gone and 400 plastic razor blades. You can't get it off, and if you try to peel it off with your fingers, you run out of skin before it comes off. I think I showed you a picture of, I had some old PPF since before I bought the car on this 911, and there was a piece that was peeling off, and I peeled it off, and I got a chunk of paint about that big. And I'm like, that did exactly what I thought it was going to do. So with your stuff, I mean, the stuff that I've seen, it's actually really forgiving is the word I would use. So
mayonnaise is a trick.
There's a story in that one, Richard.
I gotta know.
I will bet
mayonnaise is a trick. Oh man!
You really want to hear this story?
Yes, I want to hear the story.
Right. So many moons ago, I was attending the NEC motorcycle show, and I was on the stage, on the stands, and we've got bikes all over with PPF on, and we were selling kits, and we were promoting Venture Shield at the time, and it was getting midway into the show, and midweek it goes a bit quiet, and we were talking, and we got to a point where two of the guys said, right, we're going to go for coffees and we're going to have a walk around. So yeah, fine, just leave me here, because I was doing some paperwork. And two old gentlemen came up, and they had flat caps on. They got their own like glasses. They got the little sandwich, the over bag with a little sandwich box in. And one of the guys came up, and he came over to me, and he looked at me, and I said, yes, gentlemen, how can I help? And he said, I've got a question to ask you. And I said, oh, go on, fire away. And he said, I believe you can take your product off with mayonnaise. And I looked at his friend, and his friend's looking at me to say, well. And I'm like, mayonnaise? And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, my mates have disappeared here. So I'm looking around the NEC to see if anybody is like laughing. You know what I mean? Or they're stood there in the shadows, sniggering. And I couldn't see anybody. And I was like, mayonnaise? And they went, yes, mayonnaise. I believe you can take the product off with mayonnaise. And I said, it's got to be egg mayonnaise. And his friend punched him in the shoulder, who was waiting for the answer. And he said, I told you it was egg. And they walked off. And I'm sat there, like on my own. And I'm like, did that really just happen? Yeah. And then the guys came back with coffee. They put the coffee down next to me and said, like, everything okay? Anything to report? And I went, did you two just old blokes round to like wind me up? And I told them the story, and he said, we're not clever enough to think of that. Never mind to set somebody around.
Oh,
and it was like,
oh my gosh, that's funny.
You know what?
Oh man,
egg mayonnaise. There's that is
going to be egg mayonnaise. And then we used to get people saying, what colours do this is before coloured PPF even came into the equation. What colours does it come in? And I said, well, it's on that bike over there. And we had a CBR 600 Honda, and it was red, black, and blue. And the guy was touching it, and he came over. He said, it's amazing how you've got that colour match perfect. Yeah. And I went, it's clear. Yeah, clear. So yeah, and then we had one.
Whatever color you want.
Any color you want. Any color you want. And then we had two identical bikes, and we had one with the paint protection film on, and we had one with bubble wrap. So we put bubble wrap in the same places where the paint protection film was. And one guy came over to me, he said, have you not had time to unpack that bike? Yeah. So, yeah.
That's
if it's installed correctly, you can't see it. You know? And that's the hardest thing about it. If it's done right, or it's there, nobody can see it. And people, like some of the colour schemes know what bikes are coming. It's like the one behind me. It's like the MV Augusta.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to cover that up. So if you start getting these graphics and sticker pads and this, that, and the other, it takes people are buying them for the look as well as the performance. Yes. So we've got Invisible Patterns Canada as well with Paolo. So we've got a network, so pre-orders can be done through IP Canada as well. So any orders over that side, because now we're out of Europe and we've got all these import taxes and export taxes. Me and Paolo have set up, and Gary over at OP, we're branching out over there as well. So Paolo's got all the patterns on his computer, and Paolo's going to be David. I went over last year and spent a week with David doing some training, getting into design work. And you mentioned before with the side-by-sides and snowmobiles. Yeah. David's designed a couple of snowmobiles, again, for paint protection film, jet skis, anything really, as long as you put your mind to it.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe we need to
Canada. In Canada, it would be all the snow bikes and... Yeah, that's right.
Dude, we got snow bikes, razors, motorcycles, Harleys. We got the whole nine.
Lawnmowers. We need to do lawnmowers. Nobody's doing lawnmowers right now. Riding lawnmowers.
On the John
Deere. It was originated for helicopter blades. I had a customer who came in last week and he said, "Have you got any of that helicopter film?" And I was like, "How old are you?" And he went, "I'm 85." And he came in on a motorbike, and he was like, he just bought it, 85. And then he told me in 1968, the year before I was born, he won the Manx TT. So, yeah. So a very interesting old guy. And you know what? You could have just said, "Listen, I'm going to take you to the nearest pub and we're just going to chat for all day. I just want to hear your stories and everything else like that."
Yeah, there's a guy here in town that I saw him. My wife and I, down the street from our house, there's a coffee shop, and we stopped in to get coffee. And I see this guy walking in, and he's wearing the red, and he's wearing this Ducati leather jacket, and he's holding a motorcycle helmet. But he's walking, he's all bent over, and he's just walking as slow as he can. And I'm like, this guy did not ride. And sure as he rode this freaking beautiful Ducati, and I'm like, that's like carbon fiber, and I mean it's a really nice bike. And I stopped to talk to him, and he's been riding his whole life. He's in his 80s. He has a Ducati 900 something. You know, it's not some killer, but still the guy's in his 80s and he rides his bike. It looks like he can barely walk, but man, he's like this. I just come to the coffee shop
bike,
on the
he's
weekends,
good.
and as soon as he gets on that bike, he is not 80 years old anymore. So I love it. No. I think it's, that's my dad was a big motorcycle guy. I've had several motorcycles, and it was really sad the day my dad came to me, because he's now at 83 or 84. And he said, "This is the last one." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "I just bought a new bike and this is the last one I'm going to own." He goes, "And I've come to that realization because my sight's not as good. My equilibrium is not as good. And so this is it. This is the last one." And it was sad because, as dangerous as they are, they're also very, very, very freeing, and
very freeing,
and they're exhilarating, and they clear your head. I've had, oh my God, we could talk motorcycles for years.
All day, man.
This is no joke. I have had a Harley. The first Harley I had, I paid $175 for it because my brother-in-law, I said, "Man, I wish I had a bike to ride back and forth to work because I'm rebuilding the engine of this truck." And he goes, "Well, my Harley's sitting up at this shop. It's been there for about 1.5 years, and he lives out in the sticks, and so he couldn't ride it." And he goes, "If you go pick it up, you can have it." He goes, "But it needs tires." So I went and I spent $175 on a new set of tires and had a Harley the next day.
That's
and it was
freaking awesome.
Insane. And so that was my first. And then my second
Harley, you're going to say the other reason it was because it broke down.
Yeah. So no, my sister and him got a divorce, and he kept the Harley in the divorce, which is really a bummer. But
there just is something liberating about it. Yeah. No shorts today.
Yeah. So my second Harley is for my wife and I, when we had our 15th anniversary, we decided we weren't going to get anything for each other. We had made this decision a long time ago. Yeah, we're not going to get each other anything. So I came home from work, and that's right.
I've got a bit.
Yeah. And so she goes, "Hey, I got you something for our anniversary." And I said, "Hey, we weren't going to buy each other anything." And she goes, "Oh, it's not a big deal. It's no big deal at all. It's just I put it out in your shop because I know it's going to end up out there anyway." And my daughter wasn't home. We only had one at the time. And I said, "Well, where's Renee?" And she goes, "Oh, she's at a friend's house. This isn't even that big a deal." She just kept saying that. So we go out to go to my shop, and all of a sudden the door opens up, the lights are on, and there is a custom Harley that is out there, black with flames and the whole thing. And my daughter's videoing it. And that was my 15th wedding anniversary gift.
Yeah.
The thing about it is what she did though, is she's sneaky, because a year earlier, I know a guy that builds custom Harleys, and I'd been talking about one, and she got with him and she said, what I want you to do is pretend that you're building a bike, and the guy gave you just free reign, do whatever you want. And then ask Rod. And so he asked me, he's like, hey man, I got this bike. And this guy said, just do whatever I want. What would you do? I've done so many bikes. What would you do? And so I basically was going along designing this bike, and then it shows up in my shop, and it's, oh my God. So anyway, that was my second Harley. So
yeah, dude. And there, yeah. I love that story. And
yeah,
there's something about bikes that just is liberating. It's like when Judy and I first got married, I rode a Yamaha 750 Virago, and Judy realized really fast that I had a tendency to go too fast.
Yep.
In fact, I got 15 tickets in 1 year. And she's like, you're going to kill yourself. So I made the promise that I would never have a bike. But recently we went to Brazil with my son and in Rio. And he's like, hey, Dad, we're going to go up to the Christ statue up there, that big, huge one. And he goes, you want to get a motor Uber? I'm like, I didn't know they had motor Ubers. So we hooked up a motor Uber, and dude, that was so fun. It's like, I felt like I was in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, because the guys were lane splitting and going in and out of car, and we were just missing buses and cars. I felt like I was in Bugs Bunny when, you know, they're dragging Bugs Bunny or Daffy, and the cars are going like this. And I'm zoom. Dude, it was so fun.
Oh yeah.
I did that like 5 times. It's like Judy's like, you really did that? I'm like, yes, and it was a blast. So.
Well, they're dangerous, but they're fun. And I think that they're so popular everywhere.
Yes,
I don't know of anywhere where bikes aren't popular. And I definitely, if I had a shop, if I had a detailing shop, I would definitely be Russ's best friend, because I see such a need for it. And
it's such a great niche.
I would love to see this. I would love to see 2 bikes identical in model, and somebody trying to cut freehand and somebody doing a pattern, just to see how many hours are saved by using the pattern. Because
that would be huge.
Yeah, I mean,
it's before there was on one of the forums, and somebody was saying like, look, I've got this CB 600R sport bike. I'm looking at charging $2,000. People say, right, oh, that's going to take you 2 days. You can get cars done in this. You've got to bulk it. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. And it's like, pattern it. You've got a pattern. We've got a pattern for it. Buy a pattern. It's that easy. And yes, it's like the Panigale. If I was doing the entire bike, it would take me about 6 hours.
Yeah,
that's pre-cut. But if I was doing that bulk, it'd take me 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. You've got to leave it. Then you've got the risk of cutting, even though, Jody, you don't cut through, as you know.
That's what you do.
Not this guy.
But the patterns, when we design the pattern to fit, but we also make sure, because nothing wraps around, because there's nothing to wrap around, because the panel finishes, and then on the back end of the panel, the surface, it's not painted, it's not lacquered, it's raw plastic or it's carbon fiber. So we've got to finish on the edge, and we make sure we've got a tolerance between 1 and 3 millimeters.
Wow.
So we make sure that, and yes, there is stretch, there is what you need to do, because you put a 2D piece of film on a 3D panel, you need to stretch it, you need to know where your tack points are, and we make it easy enough. So like on a belly pan, we'll have a start, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
God. Oh, dude. I want to try this.
It's fantastic.
I want to try this. I need to come to one of your trainings.
Yep.
That's all focused
next
on
Tuesday. I've got available to next Tuesday.
All right. Well, let me see if I can hop on a plane on Monday and be there Tuesday.
Yeah.
That'd be
because
fun.
I think that is
Be up to the airport, no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, where do I fly into?
Manchester.
All right, Manchester. All right,
you'll end up in London, and then you'll get a flight up to Manchester.
Yeah, you get to Manchester, you'll see where
But no, it's like, or you just order a kit, you receive it, and you fit it in your own time in your own workshop. It's one of those. It literally, we send these kits all over, and it is.
Yeah. Yeah, Tate, what are you working on?
And we make
it. Yeah, I think that's the key to this thing is I can imagine that you'd kind of get spoiled, right? If you're doing bikes all the time, you get spoiled because once you learn, okay, I'm going to start here. And I was actually, right before you said that, I was thinking, well, I'd start at the leading edge because that's where you want to have your smallest tolerance. And then you'd want to come back the other way because if there's going to be anything left, you'd want it on the backside of the fender or the front on the rear. And then, you want the leading edge on there. But that's just, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I love it. And snowmobiles, that's insane.
Dude,
if
I'm telling you, snowmobiles in Idaho,
huge in Idaho. So any retailers in Idaho,
huge.
You need to work with Russ and figure out how to do snowmobiles and all the 4x side by sides and all that stuff. But those,
I could get Reed Young to take us to every snowmobile event. Oh god!
Yeah, but I've seen you with PPF.
I know that's why I want to try his because because I admit it, man. I cannot cut PPF.
He almost ruined an entire Corvette at a show.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
it was bad though.
It was really, really bad.
Well, the problem is they put me on the most curvy edge of the entire thing. It's like they just threw me in the deep water. And it wasn't just deep water, it's a deep water with a whirlpool. And I was getting sucked in
He's stretching this PPF and he's trying to bulk this mirror. And I knew it was over when he took his badge for the show off and threw it on the ground and he was sweating. And I'm like, dude, it's a mirror. He's pulling and tugging and stretching. The PPF is, I was just like, and he got done. He goes, I am never doing that stuff. That stuff sucks. And I'm like, I'm glad you've reached your limit.
God, it was so bad.
The thing is, though, the mirrors are most installers' Achilles heel. They are sometimes they go down and then you come back the following morning and they've pleated up and you're like, so mirrors can be, they're it's like this bike's got the mirrors done as well. So all these areas where there's paint, all the areas, so it's all like tension and pull it and squeegee out. And I had a guy in this morning, he just literally wanted just his tank doing. And he went to the cafe over the way and he came back about an hour and a half later. I'd done in half an hour. I'd put both sides on and everything else. And he was like, I was upstairs and he came in and he said, oh, have you started it yet? I said, it's done. And he's like, I can't see it. He said, honestly, I can't physically not see what you've done. So I had to come down and show him. And he's like, amazing. And he said, that's why I've come here, because I want the best and I want you to do it. So but he's gone off and said it's DIY. So he's gone off and put onto forums that he's been in because he wasn't confident enough, but he was local to me. He was about 20 minutes ride away.
Yes, Peyton. You 10 bumpers and a set of mirrors. Dude.
Exactly.
And of course they start me on mirrors.
That's right, exactly.
but
we turned to studio in June. Oh, there you go. June.
I know.
Where's it at?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Detail Summit. You got one coming up June. It's June 17th, right?
Yeah, up in Andy and Isabel's place with Richard and Carolyn. Yeah, so we're one of the sponsors. We're going up. We're going to be up there a few days. We've got Marcus coming in from Portugal. There's, I think, the rag company are coming in. We've got Andy from Alex from Rupes going in. I think there's a few others. Richard's keeping people updated on the thing. And then the next year we've got the show.
Right, the show.
Yeah, we can't wait for the show. We'll be there.
We're one of the sponsors of that. That's going to be a fantastic thing. So I think that's the coolest part about these events, whether it is, one of the full-on summits, whether it's the show, the exposure you get to new things. And if somebody's never seen a certain product like Invisible Patterns, you go and do that. But I love some of the so I'm a real fan of somebody that's done the job and then they've produced a product.
Yes.
Because then you kind of get the expertise and you know what areas to look out for. You know, if anybody's ever taken apart an older bike, they understand the problems with that. The fairings cracked, the plastic's heated up. If it's near the pipe, you're going to break it. You got to be really careful because a lot of these little clips and everything, they're a force fit, or they're based on tension. And as soon as you squeeze that little clip, something snaps off. You have to be really careful. And I think the key to that is having somebody like yourself that not only rides bikes, but has the knowledge of doing this for several years to understand where you're going to stumble, right? And so you build that into the product of, hey, this is where they're going to stumble. This needs to be a relief here. Or on this Ducati, there's an inner circle, a reverse curve that you're going to need to start here and go out, because if you start up here, then you're stretching. So I think that's what's really, and some of these people, I mean, you get people that are tried to do bulk, and I think we were in Canada, and my biggest problem with bulk is I didn't see how on like the corner of a hood, how do you relief cut that without it coming up? And you showed me it's really simple. You do the absolute opposite of what my brain was saying. My brain was like, leave it long and tuck it under, and you're like, no, you cut a curve and you go around, and I'm like, oh, that was so simple. But that's because of the experience you've got doing it. So that's why I think the trainings, the summits, and some of these other things are completely invaluable. You have to go to them because you're going to get exposed, and you can actually talk to the people that have done this for years at a time. So
I've actually put people off getting into PPF because they just think they watch YouTube and they think it looks so easy. And I've gone, it's not.
It's not.
The videos are edited and it looks so easy. So I've gone. There's a piece of film. There's a bumper. Knock yourself out. And then half an hour later, like you said, the sweating, the signs coming off, the jumpers coming off, and they're getting frustrated, and there's moisture, and they're going, can't do it. And they go, it's not that easy, is it?
It is definitely a craft, right?
Well,
and I love that you've really niched in, right? We were talking before we got on the podcast that a lot of PPF and ceramic coating has really been a race to the bottom the last year and a half, 2 years, right? And so it's like, having a niche that you can really double down and become a specialist is a great opportunity if you're interested in that area. So
good call there, Tate.
I did try and talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen.
Yeah, no. I always tell people with PPF, because we get people that ask us all the time, I'm like, if you've ever put a screen protector on a watch or a phone and you've gotten one little speck of hair or a bubble, and how frustrated you get because you have to take it back off. Imagine that on the hood of a full-size Suburban. That film is
and it's curved, and it has edges,
and it's got a little dip in it, and it's not.
And it's probably got stone chips because it's not brand new, and your preparation's not been perfect. You've not clayed it, so you've got some slight contaminants. And then customers come in and they like get on their hands and knees and they want to start, and you're like, no, just get out. Get out. Like I say, you can pick. At the end of the day, we've always said it's customer expectations. You've got to set them expectations, and it's the same again with motorcycles. Because again, if you don't set that expectation, I have one customer who said, "How come that part isn't protected?" And I said, "Because it's not visible to the road, and it's not going to get caught by you. I'm not going to waste my time and my energy and the film, which is going to add another $25 to the size of the kit." Because people complain. It's like bikes now are coming in the UK alone, £26,000-30,000. So they're around about $38,000. And they're complaining about spending $400 on a bike kit, which is going to protect the $40,000 investment.
Yeah.
And you're like, we can't make it any cheaper because the material is that.
Yeah.
And you just like, I don't need you as a customer because you don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. It's
well, and I'm like $400 for a pattern, dude. That's a screaming deal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a screaming deal for the protection that you get for your bike. I mean,
Yeah.
The only obstacle is going to be the installer.
Yeah, $400. That's like one tank of fuel right now. I mean, that's
God, yeah.
it.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me, man. I'm like filling up my Suburban the other day. I'm like, is this ever going to stop?
Average kit, the average size of kit is about 2 meters of 24-inch material, and they're coming in round about £190. So you're looking, and that gives you moderate protection. So it gives the nose cone, it'll give you headlights, it'll give you the tip of the mudguard, side of the mudguard, even fork protection, belly pan section, side fairing protection, tank protection, seat unit protection. If you went entire, which is now you're looking at 5 meters. So the Panigale in the background here, that's 5 meters of material. So it's 2.5 meters each side of material. Yeah. But we nest everything into the material to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
And I think that's coming in at just over £445.
Yeah.
For a £36,000 bike.
Yeah, I was going to say that bike, a Panigale, is not a $20,000 bike. That is an expensive bike, and that's obvious. It's like if you're going to spend that much money on something that is a luxury item, you should expect to spend. I mean, the couple $100 for the protection of it is insane. I remember,
like, how can you not justify that?
The first protection I ever saw for a bike was these little black foam things that were stickers, and you'd stick them on the side, and your legs would rub them off.
Yeah,
they were like what you put underneath the dining room chairs if you've got in and in and out.
Yeah, and then when they came off, you had this ugly this goo on the side of your tank. I was young enough that I rode this home, and my mother was in tears because I rode home this they call them crotch rockets here in the U.S., but I rode home this Honda Interceptor, and it was in the 80s, so it had this fluorescent pink and blue stripes on it, and man, she just started crying because she thought I was going to die, So it was.
Oh, that's
fun stuff. So
the first day I came home with a bike, my mum went, "What have you bought?" And I went, I need to get to work, and nobody in my family had ever had bikes before. So I was like the black sheep of the family, and then I was like, right, okay, I need. A friend of mine had a bike, and I had like a 50cc because that's all you could ride at 16. Because we can't drive until we're 17 in the UK. So at 16 you can get a scooter or a moped, and it looked like there was no engine in it because it was that small. It was a frame, and it was called a fizzy. And and it was like, what have you bought? And it's like, I need to get to work, Mum. And that was the start. But I had dirt bikes we used to live in like farmland.
Yeah.
And there was a canal where in the olden days, that's where they used to take all the coal from all the mines to the major cities like Liverpool and Manchester. And we used to walk along as kids, and people would steal these old bikes and throw them in the canal when they run out of fuel. And me and my mates would go around and pull them out and take the spark plug out, kick them up, get all the water out of it, get them all cleaned up, go and cycle. Some petrol out of the neighbour's car and fill it up, and that was like the start of the with motorcycles. And I think, Jody, you mentioned something early on. It's like freedom. I've ridden all over Europe, and the smells. You come into a village and you can smell the food. You can smell. Yeah. You smell somebody who's having a cigarette at the other side of the village, and you're thinking, like, for somebody who used to smoke, when you smell the cigarette, you go, "Ooh, wow." Yeah. And then sometimes now you get the smell of weed, and you're like, "Oh, okay, where's that? Where's that?"
I'm
trying to avoid the car where it's coming from because people are smoking it when they're driving, and it's just one of them where I've traveled to Europe on motorcycles, and the stories and the adventures and bus drivers signing the cross as you're overtaking another bus in Naples, and you're like, oh, you're going around an hairpin in the Alps, and the coach is coming up, and you're leaning to go around on your side of the road, but the coach is impeding your side because they have to come out and go round, and then you have to stand a bike up and then throw it back over again. And,
that is so much fun, man.
And it's like, you know, it's funny because like I said, we could probably talk bikes for 5
when you're on a bike.
Well, that's the thing is,
that's the thing I loved about Brazil, man. There were motorcycles everywhere, and everybody's just, it's amazing.
Zipping past, and everything has a organized. It's organized chaos. But if you're riding in the UK, you've got to have eyes in the back of your head because people are pulling up to junctions, people aren't looking twice when pulling out, and they're blaming you because you were riding too fast, and you're like, no, you just didn't look. You just didn't see me, even though I've got big lights on and big fog lamps to say, look, I'm trying to make myself as big and visible as possible. But over in Europe, it's a completely, because everybody in Europe has had scooters. That's their form of transport. That's what they're still riding. There was the scene where we're riding up the Route Napoleon, and we were riding, there's 4 of us, and we're all like riding up on the route, and I'm third from the back, and I'm like, somebody's coming up behind us, guys, and they're moving, like they're traveling. So the guy up in front saying, well, let's pick up the pace then. And I'm like, no, we're good, we're doing like 80. This woman went past us on a 750 scooter, a Suzuki Bergman 750, with business suit on, red eye heels, like we were stood still. And it was just like open face helmet, and I was like, that's me done. I'm done. I'm cooked, because this woman was just like,
that's awesome. So do you have anything new and exciting in 2026 coming?
Yeah, we're bringing out software. So we're launching a software where you can subscribe to it. And also with this software, if people out there have patterns which are on their computer, so if they've made a design and they've got it in a PDF, or they've used it and it's what they've made themselves, they can send that pattern to us. We'll upload it onto our system, and they can get a royalty. So every time, they still own the IP, it's their property. We're not taking that. So if somebody's got an RV, or they've got a Harley, or they've got a snowmobile, or they've got something which is sat on their computer and they've used it and they're happy with it, then send it over to us. We'll put it up on our platform, and every time it's downloaded, they get a royalty for it.
That's nice.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So that's something which we've been working on for probably the last 6-8 months. We want to make sure that the security of it is there, and I think we've got that. It is going to go out to test with a few people before we actually launch it, but that's going to be a subscription service. So there's going to be different patterns on there going forward. We are looking at America as well with invisible patterns. I'm setting up Europe as well. I've got a few people in Europe who want, because we're now on an island and we're out of Europe. Everything what comes out of the UK and goes into Europe, they pay import tax on. So it's setting up so people aren't paying the import duties and everything else like that. So I do lose out because people don't want to pay the duty coming in. So setting up over the side of it is where we're looking at, and growing invisible patterns in general, going forward, and trying to get out there a bit more. But coming back in, and then a main member of staff after 17 years left last year, so it's filling that gap and building the business back up again.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's super exciting.
That's really good stuff. So yeah, so if you haven't seen the the invisible patterns, is invisiblepatterns.co.uk. And
and then the other one is invisible IP. So it's invisible patterns. So it's IP moto MOTO vault.com.
Isn't that being built? That's
yes,
your
well, it's 99.99% done. The website for Canada is 99.99% done. We had a call. Me and Paolo had a call the other night regarding where we're up to with that, and it's just basically we've got over 5. So yes, we've got 509 models on the website.
Yep.
But each model has tank kit, so that's 1,018, and then we've got a full kit, then we've got entire kit. So it's putting all that information. You guys know what it's like. We've got to have a product list. Everything's got a part number. Everything's got to follow through, and it's just been a nightmare trying to get all that information. And
there's so much. So yeah, well, man, thank you so much. We have ¿Qué tal? Buen día a todos. Saludos desde Mexico. That's hey, good day to everybody, and hello from Mexico. That's my good friend Don Fernando. So yes, it's so good.
Saludos to you.
Yes. So thank you so much for tapping in, guys.
Gals,
guys,
and Tayton.
I don't know what he is.
Don't forget Tate.
Yeah, and don't do wheelies, Tayton. That was funny.
It
was painful to watch.
He sent me that video saying, "I think it's a bit too late for PPF."
Yeah, just
you cannot PPF your ass.
So.
You cannot PPF your ass. So
that's funny. Well, Russ, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. It's been such a fun conversation. So
yep, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to go out and like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next week.
Next week we're doing something with Paolo.
We are doing something with Paolo.
So we're not telling what, but you're gonna want to tap in next week. We're doing something with Paolo. That guy seems to be doing everything.
He does. Paolo's doing everything.
Invisible patterns. He's doing stuff with Joel. It's like, dude.
I don't know where he gets the time and energy from. I want a little bit of it. Whatever he's using or whatever he's taking, I want some.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's such a positive force in the industry. So yes. Well, thank you so much, Russ. Thank you guys for tapping in.
Okay.
And we'll check you next week.
Can I say it? See ya.